Right, let's go again. So today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about cybersecurity applied to NoCode. And this is really the essence of Flusk. That's what we are doing initially. So, I'll skip this part because I thought more people are going to leave and come back, but you already know who I am, right? This is the conclusion we came to, and this is actually why we exist. Because people didn't know, and you saw I put this at the past because now they know, no-code cybersecurity was a thing. So, what we did to came to that conclusion is that we actually created a report on the 100 biggest bubble application, and we run pen testing on every single one of them. But I'll go through the process with you now. It all started with collecting 30,453 bubble app links. And we got those through tools such as BuiltWith, Wapalizer, all the bubble links on the Bubble forum, and also all the apps being showcased on the Bubble showcase page. After that, we had to filter all these links. So we removed all the apps being on the free plan. We removed all the apps being on agency plans. We removed all the apps built by Bubble themselves. And we went down to 2,640 applications. We then sorted them by traffic and took the top 100 and ran a penetration test on every single one of them. And this was actually the best thing we could do to start a cybersecurity company. Why? Because first of all, if in those 100 penetration tests we find a lot of security vulnerabilities, it means there is a market. It means there is a notion of unsecured apps, and they just need someone to secure them. That's the first point. It's the validation victory. And the second thing is that by doing a study, you're doing a marketing asset that is conversation starting, and that talks for itself, and it's the best marketing asset we could have. Now you probably know it as we exist, and I'm presenting this talk in front of you. It means that there were a lot of security vulnerabilities. But do you know how many? It's actually a lot. It's 89 apps out of the 100 that has at least one security vulnerability. And when I talk about security vulnerability, I talk about critical ones. We could do payouts to our own bank accounts. We could access admin dashboards. We could see all the data, all the private data, private documents, private meetings on all, not all, but a big part of these 89 applications. So this symbolized the birth of Flusk. We were safeguarding the bubble universe, and we started doing this with 30 to 40 really manual security audits, right? So I'd like to show you a little bit the path of Flusk, where we started and where we are now. So this is Victor, really hard working with 0% of automation, doing security audits. It was really hard, right? This represents the era of manual mastery. And I would like to show you what it is a little part of doing a security audit. So, right, let's say we have an app, and the customer wants to know which page are secured and which page are not secured. What I mean by secured is, let's take a non-logged in users, and I want to know if this non-logged in user can access the admin dashboard. So what we'd have to do here is to check the HTTP redirection codes. It's a little bit complex. I won't enter in the details, but basically what we had to do is try for every single page of the application, take the redirection code. It's really hard. Like, it looks really complex, but it's also really complex to do. I mean, it's not complex, but it's really long, right? So you can see here, for example, the admin dashboard had a 200 redirection code, which means as a non-logged in users, it was accessible, right? This is a flow. What we did, the first automation we've done on these security audits was to actually automate this part, and we built a little tool, a little internal tool, really ugly, just to automate this part, and we came from this to that directly. So we could know which page are not secured, right? That represents the 0 to 99 automation part of Flusk. And the third part, you probably know it as well, it's being fully automated. It's Flusk Vault, and it now runs security audits in a completely automated way. Now, I would like to do you a quick demo of the tool to show you actually how it looks like. So, this is the main dashboard of Flusk Vault. We have two interesting tabs in here. The first one is the dashboard, and the second one is the actual security vulnerabilities, right? So on the dashboard, you can just perform a new test and see your security score here. But let's dive into the issue. We are checking more than 20 security checkpoints. Page access protection, public bubble editor, unprotected API workflow, default username password combination. I won't go through all of them because it's a lot, but basically we automate all of those security points, right? Now, let's go to the important tab, the issues tab. So, every single line in this repeating group is representing a security issue. So here we can see a public sensitive parameter in API call, right? It's scary because it's really critical. We can see here the version it appeared on. So this issue is only on version live, and we can see here at the bottom, it's fixed on version live, but it's still here on version test. If I expand this issue, I can see here in the bottom, so remember, it's a public sensitive parameter in API call, right? We can see here in the additional details that the parameter name is authorization and the parameter value is beer something. And if you have already dealt with APIs, you know that this really looks like an API key, an authentication key. And you really don't want this to be public, right? Because it means anyone could just go on your app, grab that key, and use the third-party service as if he was you, right? Now you have that button. And some of you might think it's a really magic button, and it resolved the issue directly for you, but unfortunately it isn't. What we've done for this is that we wrote documentation for every single type of issue. We even recorded videos because sometimes it's really complex, but basically when you click on this resolve button, you have a documentation explaining you exactly what the issue is, what the consequences are, and how to solve it, right? You can see here the status of resolution per version for live version, test version, and all your custom versions, right? So now I know what you're thinking. When you release a new version of your app, it's a security issue in itself to think about Flusk. To think about Flusk, to go to the dashboard, and to click the blue button to run a new test. And we could have developed a Chrome extension. We could have developed a plugin, but we actually developed nothing, and it's way better. You can just enable this, the automatic test on deploy. And whenever you're going to deploy a new version of your app live, we will know it, we will run a security test on your app, and if we find security issues, we will email them to you and say, hey, you just released a new version, take care. You have this security vulnerabilities, with a link to go to your dashboard. Last thing I would like to show you is the privacy rules checker. So you probably all know about privacy rules. This thing here, this is where you define them, but you actually don't have any way to try them, except creating test pages, but it's really painful. So we don't want that. What we would prefer is to assume we have a particular role in the app and query the database to actually see what we can see. And this is how the privacy rules checker looks like. I'm a non-logged in user now, and I query the database, and this is actually the data I can see as being non-logged in. And you can see here it's really critical because I have users' email, addresses, so a lot of stuff. And you don't want this. So basically, that's the tool. It's called Flusk Vault. Thank you. And same, if you have any questions, I'm all ears.
So can you tell us a little bit about the process that you went through to build the tool and the tool itself? What stack is it built on?
It's actually 99% of no-code. So that's good because you can build tools to secure no-code applications with no-code tools. And we just needed 1% of custom code for basically running a pub tier. I don't know if you know what it is, but it's like a headless browser to check some stuff for some checkpoints. It's a bit complex, but yeah, it's 99% of no-code, Bubble for the front end, and Xano for the back end, and 1% of custom code in Node.js.
Hi, I'm just curious, did you contact the 100 top apps and let them know?
Yeah, sure. Before publishing the report, actually, we contacted them all, and we gave free help to fix all the issues, and we waited before everything was fixed to publish the report.
Are they are they now are most of them now customers then?
Actually not, because it's really hard to sell security when you just come to someone and say, hey, you have security issues, now if you want to fix them, just give me money. It just doesn't work. They don't want to give you money.
But after?
After. Yeah.
How do you test your own code?
Oh, we have Flusk on the Flusk app, obviously.
It's like a Russian dolls.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing you got a lot of the information on what to test through experience. What are your processes basically to keep up to date and like, oh, these are new things in Bubble we need to check for, or hey, someone found a new way of gathering information through certain areas. What's your process of keeping up to date with things that are coming to light? Like, hey, this is what we need to add to Flusk. Like, hey, these are new vulnerabilities.
Sure. So at the beginning, we didn't have all that 20 issues. We only had a few based on our experience. Then we kept looking and looking and looking. And as we did the security report with the 100 apps, we found some new security vulnerabilities there. Now that people in the ecosystem know we're focused on security, they sometimes come to us and say, hey, this is a security vulnerabilities. It would be good if you check it automatically. And the other source is the Bubble forum. We spend a lot of time there. And as soon as someone talks about the security vulnerabilities, we check if we could automate it.
Hey, do you guys have a way for more advanced verification of the privacy rules? Because initially, of course, you want to make sure that non-authenticated users can't see stuff. But maybe within the application, there'll be a more complex rule, such as, for instance, if you're authenticated but you're not admin, then you're not accessing this. And in different applications, this might be defined differently, meaning that for some it's admin equals yes, for some it's like admin whatever. I mean, and so you have basically, can you define a rule yourself to kind of put into the monitoring or not?
Yeah, so that's in the plans actually. Probably will be released with the new monitoring thing. I didn't tell you, by the way, but it's not out, the monitoring stuff you see at the beginning. We're going to do a big update, and this will probably be part of this. It's quite hard because you have to make something general that works for all the apps. So what we're trying to do is actually to build a Chrome extension to grab the cookie of, for example, a non-logged in user, a user being logged in but not admin, and an admin user on your app, and just then query your database with those cookies. But it's quite hard to do, but we almost get it done. Awesome. So it will be a thing.
Thank you.
So I think Bubble themselves are like quite interesting in what you're doing. Like, how is there, like, are you communicating a lot with them, or are they more like on the back side and don't really want to talk? How is that?
Yeah, so they want to talk. They're actually nice to us. I think what we are doing is also good for them. So we would just like from them to have, so more about the monitoring part, we would like to have kind of a checkbox on the bubble editor to allow the logs pulling from Flusk, because right now we require the collaborator access to get all your logs, and we sometimes have rights on your application that we don't even want to have. Like we can technically access your database, and we don't want it, and there's no other way, you know. So that's the main topic that we're currently discussing, but it's not a thing yet. Yeah, good idea. Say this louder.
Thank you for your good presentation. So here at Flux, you are specialized in bubble app security. Do you think in the future you're going to develop also this solution to address other apps on other NoCode tools?
That's actually the top one question we got this weekend. So I kind of know how to answer it now. It's not planned yet, because so the thing is that we have the expertise on Bubble. We were freelancer, then we went into education, so we really know how it works. And I think to build a tool like that, you have to be an expert in the tool. And we actually don't have it. The other tool we have it is Xano, but as it's only a backend, it not allows users to do as much security mistakes as Bubble, who is really permissive. And really, if you don't know how to use Bubble and you just create an app, you're gonna do a lot of security issues, vulnerabilities. With Xano, if like you just authenticate with an API key, most of the cases you will be quite fine. So in the moment, it's not a thing, but you never know.
Thanks for your answer.
Are we good? Yes. Well, thank you.